I am Jimmy Evans, and this is Barbershop Therapy. We cut through the problems. Good evening, this is Jimmy Evans, and here we are with another segment of Barbershop Therapy. Listen, we got a special treat for everybody tonight. I'm here with two legends in Raleigh in the legal area. I'm here first with Judge Ashleigh Parker and Mr. J. Jerkins, attorney at law. And we're actually filming out of his office right now. But I really want to, appreciate the fact that we get to speak on something that everybody needs to know about. And hopefully this will help people in the family court system and give them some insight that they typically wouldn't have. So, welcome. Thank y'all for coming in on Barbershop Therapy and, cutting through the problems.
Thank you for having us.
Ashleigh, I'll start with you first. Judge Ashleigh.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, what brought you to law?
Oh man, that's a long story. So I'll give the short version. I wanted to be a doctor, so I did not want to be a lawyer. So that's the first part of it. But junior year of college, after med school, didn't really work out. I learned three things, or God said, remember, there's three things about yourself. One, you like to talk. Two, you like to argue. And three, you want to help people. You need to go to law school. So I initially went in law school believing that I wanted to be a prosecutor and retire as one. My dad was one. I thought that's what I wanted to do. Started out in the DA's office, ended up leaving there, going to the Attorney General's office, and then 5 years out of law school, became a district court judge. And so currently I serve in our foster care courts, which is a subset of our family courts system. But for the first 4 years that I was on the bench, I did spend half of my time in family court. And so had that experience.
That's amazing. Listen, and being a African-American female on the bench, how has that experience been for you throughout, your career?
Well, I was really young when I got on the bench. So I was 30 years old. I've been on there now for 8 years. Yes, I was 30.
You're only 32 now.
I know, right? So I know, right? So getting on the bench very young, I would always say, I didn't know if the discrimination I got came from being black, being female, or being young. So I didn't know if it was racism, ageism, or sexism. And so it was very challenging starting out. I felt like I had to give examples for why my rulings were what they were, or I feel like I had to over-explain myself, versus now I feel like my credibility is what it is. I've established myself. I feel more confident in my rulings and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so I think those were things that I kind of had to overcome, but I always use their underestimation as my secret weapon. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for that. Now, Mr. Jerkins, Attorney Jerkins,
Sir.
Could you tell me what was your path to becoming an attorney?
Well, different than most, I knew going to law school that I wanted to do family law. I knew going to undergrad I wanted to do family law. I had saw a rough divorce in my extended family that kind of, when you're young, people, older adults talking about this and that's happening, whatever case it may be, and got me interested in family law. So I started looking at that, and when I went to undergrad, started trying to do things like major in psychology and sociology, try to do things that can get me on the path to family law. So I love it. I tell people all the time, if I didn't do family law, I probably wouldn't practice law, because I just love it. I think helping people in that area come from sociology, the family as well, the community as well, the nation as well. So getting that family in a good spot is kind of where I'm at on the ground.
So I'm gonna pose that same question to you as an African-American attorney. What are some of the differences and challenges that you have seen or come across while you've, been in the courtroom or outside of the courtroom?
But in the beginning, I think it was proving yourself,
Twice as good.
Exactly. Trying to feel like you had to do double or triple to just make sure people knew that you had credibility. Because you had, sure our audiences, but you had people saying, "Well, I'll just go to the other man," or "I'll just," that kind of stuff. So just making sure that, I think that helped me, because okay, now I'm doing all the certifications, and then now I'm reading all the case law, and now I'm doing all this to make sure that I knew I was confident myself, but make sure that I know what I'm talking about too. So
Speaking of that, I believe you were the first African-American male to be certified in family law in North Carolina, in the state of North Carolina. So he did that. We're so proud of him.
So
That's a major accomplishment, because now with that, have you brought others along with you to get those same certifications?
Yeah, I have an associate who is in the process and hopefully will be the second, because right now I still am the only African American male board certified family law specialist in the state. So
New niche
I
for you.
am hopefully bringing a couple, at least one other, and maybe a couple other people along to say, hey, look, we're in this field too. We're in this space.
Okay, so Ashleigh and Jay, y'all both went to North Carolina Central.
The
The,
North Carolina Central University School of Law.
the North Carolina Central. My bad.
It's okay. It's okay.
No problem.
No problem. Your experiences there in the law school, how did it prepare you for what y'all are going to, the challenges that come with, the first 2 years out of law school, the first 10 years, and then you got your credibility. How did you feel like Central prepared the both of you?
Well, for me, I'm not sure if you might know, but Central Law School, we are the minorities at Central Law School. So you still got into that from that very beginning of, even though it's historically black college, this law school is minority. So we were bonding together, sticking together, making sure it was kind of family oriented, once our community, trying to make sure that we were helping each other up and doing that. So that really helped from community. And I think the law school was great at teaching us practical ways to engage with clients, engage with the community, and be a part of the community. We're not just some elite, whatever, just doing stuff off in the cloud. Like, we are in the community. I think that's why, just bragging on Judge Parker, like, she's so much in the community with everything she does, because we taught that. We came from that with law school. So I love Central. It's the best decision, one of the best decisions I made to do that.
Well, I like to add to that, my younger brother, Mr. Michael Alexander Evans, also is a Central graduate. So can you say
The North Carolina Central University School?
that particular prestigious place? And so I saw him working hard the same way, and then coming out with that confidence in that family, togetherness. That hey, I now have constituents I can go to. In times of need, and to build me up in the same phase. So, so let's step a little further.
Oh, you want me to answer it?
I wanted you to.
Oh, okay. All right, sure. I'll help you. So, so my dad went to Central. He graduated class of '79. My cousin, who was the longest serving female judge in North Carolina before she passed away, Judge Ola Lewis. The courthouse is actually named for her out of Brunswick County. So it's the first African American courthouse that's named for someone. So that's my big cousin, and she graduated, I want to say, in '92. So Central was the only choice for me. But I also knew that it created litigators, which is what I wanted to be. And so if you think about public servants, if you think about prosecutors and public defenders and judges and those type of things, we pretty much come out of Central for that. But so me being a prosecutor, knowing that I wanted to be courtroom ready, going to Central was the way to do that. And so, and like Jay said, I mean, the way that we care about service, because that is what this profession is truly about. It's not about making money. It is about serving people. And that's law school is exactly, in truth and service, is what we believe in and what we practice. And so, once again, the only choice and the best choice.
Okay. Well, thank you both for, expounding on that for me, because that was really helpful. I want to move into some of the courtroom portion of this. So what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about entering into family court?
Enter into family court? I think, I'm not sure if it's a misconception, but what I try to tell people, like, we don't have to go in here. You don't need to be a bulldog. You don't need to go in there ready to throw all the mud at the wall. I don't know if our judges are all into you just telling me how bad and crooked and this and that. And I think that's what a lot of people think. I'm going to family law and I'm just have all my dirt, depending on where you're going in. But when you're thinking about child custody, we're talking about the best interest of the child. And I've had judges say, now I've sat here and heard 2 hours about how y'all don't like each other. Tell me
about the child, please.
Tell me about why we're actually here.
Yes.
And same thing with, child support or, just property. Like, I think everybody comes in there like, you need to be this type of attorney because I need to go in there and just da-da-da-da-da. And I don't know if it always serves you well. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I try to encourage people. Like, we don't have to be like that. We can still go in there and do our case, and we can be respectful, and we can do all that. I think people think it's what you see on TV, where you got to be, rolling your eyes and doing that to opposing counsel and, whatever. I've had clients that were shocked and surprised that I knew the other attorney in that we went out to lunch 2 weeks ago. How could you? It's not a TV show. It's not a TV show. I'm going to serve you and I'm going to do everything in between those in the courtroom, but we don't have to. We're not going to be disrespectful to each other. And we're trying to say, you don't have to be that. We can get it done without.
So it's truly a court system where people are interacting every day. They know each other. There's relationships there. There are people that interact on a personal level outside of the courtroom. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that once they step inside of a courtroom because of the dramatizations that they see on TV.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, literally, people think that it's TV court. So they come in there and treat it as that. And what happens is you distract and you waste time. And it's really hard because, as a judge, not only am I listening to what's happening, but I'm also reading energies. And it's really unfortunate whenever I see people throwing bricks at each other or trying to, and attorneys also, being super combative. It distracts from what we're here for. And it takes time away from that. And so I was definitely going to say TV court, thinking that it's that, thinking that you have to throw everything at the wall to see if it sticks. And on top of that, understanding that all attorneys are not the same. So you want quality attorneys, right? And you want ones that have the respect of the judges. And, Jay comes in, he's prepared. I'm not gonna say melatonin, but like, he's just very orderly and he does not distract from the case versus some other attorneys are very distracting. That's why I hired him as my attorney for my family law case, right? Because he had not only, my respect, but I knew he would be respectful and respectable no matter what judge was assigned to us. And that's exactly what I saw exemplified. So, to his point, thinking that somebody needs to be in there all raw for you, it will distract and it might tick the judge off. And so you have to be mindful, just like you wouldn't want, in any environment, someone to be too much. You need to be mindful that your lawyer probably shouldn't either, because that's going to take away from the judge's ability to discern what's happening here and what's in the best interest of your children or child support or whatever else is going on that you're asking for.
Yeah, those are all great points, and really appreciate you adding that to the conversation. I want to dig a little deeper into that though. When you said find a quality attorney to represent you, you were capable of doing that because you were in the system. You were able to witness the right one. How would I, as Jimmy Evans coming off the street, man, I'm going through these problems and this woman is, and I'm in my emotional state. How do I get out of my emotional state to go and make a rational decision to find a qualified attorney?
I mean, the same way that you go to a doctor, the same way you find a barber, the same way you do anything in life, you ask word of mouth. Ask around. I think sometimes, especially in the family court setting, sometimes we're a little afraid because we're so worried about people being in our business. But I tell people all the time, if you can afford one, please get an attorney. That's important. We do have the legal support center that Jay volunteers in, but coming in without an attorney can, especially when you're talking about finances and those type of things, I mean, you really need an attorney. And just like you want to go to the best doctor, you want to try to get the best attorney. And the way you do that, I believe, is through word of mouth, through doing your research, through having consultations and investing in those consultations to see, is this attorney in line with me? Are we in alignment with each other? Are we going in the same direction? And can I trust this person? But that really does come from word of mouth, I think. Okay. What do you think, Jay?
I definitely think you need to do consults. I tell people all the time, even if you can't hire attorney, like, you got to do it. You have to get in there because the court has its own language. They have their own rules. And if you watch TV and think you playing a different game than what's actually playing in Wake County, you're not gonna go in there and be prepared. I don't think to what we're talking about, somebody who's over the top of court. The bulk of the attorney's work should not be in court.
Right.
The bulk of the attorney's work should be before we even get to court, because at the end of the day, we are attorneys and counselors at law. So there's a counseling aspect and a preparedness aspect that's before we even get to court. I shouldn't be in court nervous and trying to figure out what's going on. So that comes along with doing some consults, and when you talk to people, you go get a feel of what's going on. And I tell people, like, your attorney needs to fit you, not an aspect that they're going to do everything you want. Because you want an attorney that says, no, that's not, like I said, like, yeah, we can go in there, we can be bull in China shop, you can spend a lot of money, you're going to do this and do that, and so you need somebody who's can tell you, but I mean, you have to see how you guys work together also.
Oh, I'm sorry. And to that point, I just want to piggyback off of that. Also, you want attorneys. I'm not going to say they have to necessarily be from the same county, but you want attorneys who know the judges and who the judges know who the attorneys are. Like that is extremely helpful whenever he can say, I'm appearing in front of Judge Parker. I'm going to tell you right now, she doesn't like this, and this, or this is what she looks for with this, and this. Like that's important, right? And on top of that, another thing I was going to say about TV court is also people feel like they have to go into court, like Jay was saying, when really I always told people when I was in family court, please try to work it out before you get here, because if your child walked in the door, I wouldn't even know they belong to you. So if you want to roll the dice with me, we can do that. I will follow the law, but it may not be what you want. So the best that you can, try to figure out what that thing is versus trying to come into court and badmouth this person and end up losing custodial time or something else that could have been worked out before. So we do force mediations, and those type of things, and we encourage that. And so you want an attorney who is also going to work with you in that. That's not just trying to get money out of you, out of those billable hours, but is going to support what's best for your family unit. So all of those are factors.
Next question, right on.
Sorry.
Answer that. No, I'm gonna go to it anyway. But I'm asking now, how can an individual prepare themselves before entering into the legal process?
Well, I mean, I think the main thing is I think you have to be clear on what you are looking for. And it can't be revenge. It can't be, so you have to be clear on. I always tell people when we're having that conversations, like, what is the future look like? What's 5 years look like? Like, where are we going? Because that lets me know. Because if we, not trying to be funny, but if we are trying to rub our pennies together to make ends meet, we don't need to spend 2 years in court. We can't afford it. I might win and lose ultimately. I mean, because if I spend my colleagues, if you got this amount of money and you spend this on attorneys, and now the rest of your life it doesn't work. So you need to know, number one, what am I looking for? Is this what does my family need?
What's your outcome that you're trying to get to?
And I'm not saying everybody can. I love agreements. I love not even getting to court. Like I love if y'all separate. Nobody know y'all not separate, but nothing's out in the air. Especially now with e-courts, you can type in people's name and see everything. So we don't have to do all that. But I understand when you fight about kids, and you're gonna have people who go to court. But you just need to be prepared. Family law is so intimate. Like it's your finances, it's your children. It's so intimate. You just need to have just know what you're going into court for, and keep the main thing the main thing.
Okay, so on the other side of that, Judge Parker, how do you maintain your composure when you're deliberating a case like this and listening to these two juggernauts going at each other head to head? And it's like, do you wait for the information to provide itself, or do you say, hey, I need you to tell me A, B, and C. This is what I need to know.
I mean, we do a lot of cases where people are pro se, meaning that they're self-represented. So, when you have an attorney, obviously they know the law, they know the rules of evidence, they know what can come in, they know what time frames are, they know all of that, and they're prepared in that way. But the majority of people that we see cannot afford attorneys or feel like they just don't want to use them. And so, yes, I do have to be more concise as far as this is what I'm looking for. I'm directing you on this and that and the third. One of the biggest challenges that I've seen, though, is that people want judges to be miracle workers, and we are not. Like, ultimately, this is the person that you chose to have children with, and now you're saying, I don't want this person to have any access to them whatsoever, and you don't have a legal basis for that other than the fact that you don't like the new girlfriend, or you don't like the new boyfriend, or you don't like this, that, and the third. And people get so upset with us, and it's just like, I have to follow the law at the end of the day. And so the biggest thing for me is compartmentalization. I have small children myself. I've been divorced myself. And so, learning that you have to keep things very, to them, like to what they are. And then on top of that, when I'm Ashleigh right now, I'm off work, right? Like I'm Ashleigh, but then when I put that robe on, I'm Judge Parker. And so whether I agree with the law or agree with the situation or whatever else, when I put that robe on, I've taken that oath, and I have to follow what the law says with that situation. And so many people get so upset with that, but it's not about my personal beliefs. It's not about my religious beliefs. It's not about anything other than what I believe to be the best interest of these children, unfortunately, who I do not, who I do not know. So
and I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of people take it very personally when they don't get what they want, obviously, in a court system, and they start looking at the lawyers and the judges as the enemy. And so, in this arena right here, I want to humanize what y'all do. And after those moments are over, y'all are, going back to your families as well. And so when leaving a situation where you've had a really rough day in court, it's been super emotional, how do you decompress from that when you come out of those situations?
I mean, jokingly, but I mean, I think my kids give me my energy. Like for me, when you're fighting about somebody's kids and then you're able to come in the door and hear daddy, it's just a different, it's different. But outside of that, I run and I'm an avid runner and stuff like that. So if I do have a hard day, I might lace up the tennis shoes and go from there. But it is in this arena, it is hard to compartmentalize sometimes because you see this is an emotional kids finance, like I keep saying, it's emotional. And I tell my clients, like, I have plenty of times where we're in a client meeting and they have an outburst. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, or I didn't mean this. I get it. You fight. If you didn't have any emotions fighting about your kids, I would be worried. I would be surprised. Now I say, get it all out with me because when we're going for a judge, we gotta, we gotta be buttoned up, and I have some signals with my client. If I tap on the table like this, we gotta pull it in, like trying to help out because I know it's whatever. So I feel that I have to sometimes take on those emotions and kind of when I get home, like, okay, deeper. But that's normally with kids, that's running. So going from there.
So the first 4 years of my bench time, I guess, or service on the bench, I was married. And so coming home, I mean, coming into a space that did not have peace, it was much harder for me to figure all that out. Plus, at the same time, I had a 18-month-old and then I had a 6-year-old. So it was a lot going on. And then I was obviously not in a healthy space. And so now coming into the last 4 years of being single and being a single mom, it has been really important for me to prioritize myself and really understand that I cannot pour from an empty cup. So I've been really serious about taking time for myself. I mean, I was working out anyway, but like just making sure I'm working out, making sure I'm just reading for no reason. If I want to stare at a wall, I stare at a wall, or look at Netflix and think about nothing, definitely being in my word. Fully and prioritizing going to church every Sunday at a church that I enjoy, that feeds into me. Those type of things have really helped to stabilize me and have made me a lot better. So people will say Judge Dunstan was rah, Judge Parker is so much calmer, right? But then I also understand what Jay is saying, because like I said, Jay was my attorney for my divorce. And I know when I tell you I would call Jay and I would be rapping, I know I'd be talking fast, like, Jay, and it was so nice to have somebody who was mellow. And I had to dump that on him, but he took it so well that I was able to calm down. So that when we got into court, I was not, because to that point, I don't want to be a distraction to the judge, right? Because I knew what that looked like. And I think it was just very eye-opening when I'm sitting on the witness stand. Like, I feel like it made me a better judge, like sitting on the witness stand and dealing with those things and knowing the nervousness and waiting on orders and those type of things. And I always felt like my job was never to judge. My job was to help. But like when I'm sitting in that courtroom and I'm like, oh my gosh, God, how did I get here? He said, Ashleigh, number one, I'm with you. But then number two, this is going to make you better. This is going to make you more empathetic. This is going to help you to understand what it's like, and that this is bigger than just you. This is a test, but turn it into your testimony.
Thank you for that. So as you move forward in your careers and you gain this experience and you understand the size and going through life and figured out what life has to offer you to put back into your profession, what would you say to incoming lawyers that are fresh out and I'm gonna go challenge the world and I got this and I got all the best advice in the world, and as a judge that might get on the bench for the first time, I'm going to change the world, but haven't had that life experience? What would you say to them?
I know I've recently have life experience that I feel like has helped me become a better judge. I mean, not judge, a better attorney.
Okay, speak.
Absolutely not.
Not definitely not doing judge. I like arguing too much. But just a simple one. Like, I was doing child custody cases way before I had kids. I have a 4-year-old. I've been practicing 11, 12 years. So I'm telling about kids and bedtime and stuff like that, but I never actually lived it. So then when you live it, it's like, oh yeah, if one house has a bedtime that's an hour difference than the
Yes.
other house, that does make a difference. It does. It's not just your house, your rule.
Yes.
It affects. So having those life experiences and being able to, I don't think you have to gain everything through trial and error. So having people around you that you can talk to about this is great. But just living life, I mean, it's gonna. I think that's why you kind of get better as an attorney as you get older, because you live those experiences and you get to understand what people are going through, and you empathize and sympathize with people more. So
I think for me, and until I got through my own, or went through my own situation, I didn't really understand the purpose and the importance of healing and being healed, right? And how so many people are so unhealed. And that's why we kind of see frequent flyers, unfortunately, people who get out of one situation and hop into another one, and then they're back in there, or people in I'm the lead child support judge, so seeing them in child support court and they have multiple baby mamas. She was sitting in the audience, and then later on, she now in front of me.
that's the great, not to interject, that's the craziest thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you were our witness helping us on our case, and then 3 months later, now you're the adverse party.
Yeah,
It's a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of moving parts. So I didn't really understand the value of healing, and God is truly a healer. And so taking that time to heal, and that's where I had to do that. I mean, that's where I ended up writing a devotional, was my healing in doing that. And I think that really will prevent things from hopefully happening, down the line. But I really think that we have got to prioritize healing throughout the journey. I think the sooner you do that, the better you will be, and the better outcomes you will possibly have whenever you're in the family court system as well.
Okay, so with newer lawyers and judges coming into the profession, that's something that you would say, feel yourself first, be healed, before, be prepared when you step up on.
Take your time. What's the rush? Take your time. What's the rush?
We'll start the contract here.
Yeah, I think you have to, as a new attorney, if you're coming into family law, you have to have some compassion. You have to be prepared, but you have to have some compassion, and you have to know yourself, because I've seen it burn out attorneys, judges, if you're not doing the steps to keep yourself.
So still part of that self-care.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And mentorship. Like, get a mentor.
family law is hard for the clients, for us,
The judges.
like, it's hard all the way around. So I mean,
We talk about keep those kids and money. Oh, honey, it's on. Like, when we talk about deputies, like being in the courtroom and things popping off, it's happening in the civil courthouse more than the criminal courthouse.
Right. I can imagine. I personally went through the family court system myself, and before getting into the court system, I experienced the social working side of that, and was a horrible experience for me because I was voluntold more than I understood. And so thinking from that side of it, coming into a case for the first 30 to 90 days of a case, what would you tell an individual, male or female, that they should expect in that first 30 to 90 days of however long that court case lasts?
Well, I mean, if you're coming into, depends on what type of case, but I think the more education you have, the better. So when we're coming in a custody case, we're talking about, hey, the judges are looking for how you parent and how you co-parent. They're going to be making decisions on legal custody and physical custody. What are those things? Given the language, so you know what we're talking about. A lot of people walk into child support court, they don't know worksheets. They don't know that they're doing gross income and not net income. They don't know. So then you have people saying, "Nope, this is it. This is it." They feel helpless because they don't know the language. They don't know what's going on. I mean, and a lot of attorneys aren't. I mean, if you're not taking the time to educate and say, this is what it is, this is how it's going to go, like giving that frame, that roadmap on how this works, it can be overwhelming. It can lead to a lot of disappointment, all that kind of stuff. So first 36 days before we're filing stuff, we're trying to have those conversations of, this is how the process looks like. This is what the timeline. Wake County is great. Our primary practice, they have timelines for a lot of stuff. So this is what we're hitting on now. I'm not saying you're always going to get in court in that timeline, but this is the roundabout timelines we're looking like. Because the client leaves frustrated. They get to court, somebody's telling them this, that, and the other. They don't understand it. That's not the way it should be. Because now we're adding more chaos to your already chaotic your family's breaking up, you're doing whatever the case may be, and now you're more chaotic because everything is coming against you. So just trying to give as much education, and for attorneys, you have to set expectations. Like that's
Yeah.
a huge thing. Setting expectations. It's not TV like we talked about. This is not. We're not gonna be in court next week. We're not gonna be in court next month. Like we gotta play the long game. We gotta get a plan in place.
And I would say be mindful of where you're getting your education from, right? Like getting it from an attorney is fantastic. Getting it from your friends or Chat GPT is not. Like, those or from YouTube or something like that. And I know people are trying to pull wherever they can, but having that attorney who knows the judges, who knows the timelines, who knows the local rules, who knows what to expect is vital, right? And so I think that's definitely something that's definitely key. And then on top of that, understanding it might take 6 months to get into a courtroom. It might take a year after you file for child support for a 4D to be able to get you. I mean, it just depends on when the application process and those types of things. So once again, setting reasonable expectations, but also understanding you might have a court date, but you might be 7 or 8, 9, 10, 13th on that calendar and you're not getting heard that day because we have such a backlog of cases. So understand patience is key. And so I would say, and Jay may agree or disagree with me, I don't know, but try to figure it out beforehand, or try to at least start working on that schedule that you think that y'all want to see how it works, so that you can say, we've been doing week on, week off, but this isn't really working because the kids are coming back this way, or we've been doing every other weekend, we just want to continue. Just try to figure that out and try to balance that out in advance. So when you do get to court 6 months later, it might be that y'all mediate and say, we like this and this is fine. Or we say, okay, then we need to make these adaptations.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, I think, from a client standpoint, where it's the nature of the beast in Wake County. We need more money, whoever, can make that happen. But when you get yourself emotionally up for court.
Yeah.
And then you don't go to court. It's like it's the anxiety that builds in clients that I see. Like, some people don't handle anxiety well, so they stayed up all that night before, and so you having those conversations with them, and it's nothing I can do to, like, if you have anxiety about getting on the witness stand, I mean, you're still going to be in my same position, but just having those conversations and showing people this is where you are on the calendar. Maybe temper your expect, like, we're number 12 out of 18 and there's 20 hours in front of us on a 6-hour day, so we are not saying we're not gonna go, but I'm not saying we are either. Like, I mean, so just having that, because I know you deal with all those emotions and having that stuff, you just need to have your client. I don't want to ever have my client in a worse position emotionally than what they're already dealing with. So that's what I agree completely with Judge Parker. The more you can work out, the better. Like, the more you don't have to go and do that. I tell my clients, I'm a big proponent of supporting your child, not necessarily child support. So if y'all can work it out on your own, that you guys do whatever support may look like, I don't care if it's I buy groceries and you do this or whatever, great. Now, of course, if that can't work out and we have to go to child support and have the state, it is what it is. But, like, we can do some stuff on our own, which lessens the anxiety and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm gonna tell you, if we get continued, I'm still gonna get paid. So, and that adds to your emotional.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but I didn't prepare to do it. So it's all of that.
And I think too, like, being mindful of that. Like I said, the big thing about healing is, like, that resentment piece. Like, we can feel it. You know what I'm saying, in that environment. And so, whenever you're talking about, for example, and I mean, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but generally speaking, if a woman is trying to prevent a good father from being in his children's life, I've seen it where someone being spiteful, being mean, being cruel, whatever else, gotten in court and messed around and lost custody.
Turn it around.
Turned it around, because we can see those type of things, right? And so as you're preparing, being mindful of how would this take yourself out, because this is what a judge does. We are looking at it from a 50-foot lens. We are emotionally uninvested from it, right? So that's why it's important to have a good attorney. But at the same time, the best you can, pull yourself out of it and say, what would this look like to somebody, how I'm acting, how I'm moving, and would this show that I am looking out for the best interest of my children, and those type of things, while you're waiting for that period of time, being mindful of that. I know whenever my ex-husband and I separated, the very first thing I did was say, okay, I want to make sure that you have a custodial schedule with our children that is as close to 50-50 as we could possibly get it, even though my baby was little. I mean, he was 18 months old. I had just finished nursing him not even 4 months before that, you know. So, you know, that was very difficult for me as a mother to be away from my 2 children, but I knew they needed to have a balanced, you know, relationship with their father. And so we set up something. I kept a calendar for 18 months. We went to court. He took me to court for custody and tried to change it. And we were able to show to the judge, hey, this is the schedule we've been doing for 18 months. It's been working. My kids are used to this and you know, are accustomed to it. And that's the schedule that was kept.
So how valuable is that to you, going through that experience yourself and now seeing the complex emotions that come along with that, the range of frustrations that fall into that space when you see that same frustration on, you know, the plaintiffs or, you know, the defendants, whatever the case may be? How did that change how you look at things?
I think it was just more empathy and compassion, I think, at the end of the day. And I think also, I also now also understand how hard it is, but also how it's possible. So I'm kind of like, if I can do it, you can do it, you know, type of thing. And not just be like, I'm, you know, education or, I mean, emotional intelligence is what it is. You can be highly educated and emotionally uneducated, or, you know, emotionally unintelligent or whatever. So, or have low emotional maturity, they have high intellectual. And so it's, to me, I think that when people really take the time to, like I said, kind of heal and take themselves out of it, I think that when you look at it that way, then you can look at it from the lens of the judge, I think, at that point. And you say, you know what, I don't think I really want, not less than I want my business out there, but more or less like, you know what, I think that I could handle this situation differently. Or even though I don't like this person, it doesn't mean that they're a bad father. Or just 'cause I don't like this person does not mean that they're a bad mother. Just because we didn't get along doesn't mean that we cannot do what we need to do for our children. And I think going back to the compartmentalization that, you know, we have to do, but also compartmentalization also of boundaries, right? And saying, you know what, the only thing we're going to communicate about are these children. We're not talking about us getting back together. We're not talking about any of the other things. I'm not trying to do that. We need to talk about this. I'm not talking about the relationship I'm in, you know, and establishing those boundaries early on will help later if this process were to go on for several years.
Okay, I want to back up just a little bit, right? We talked about the initial 30 to 90 days. We talked about how you prepare, how people should prepare before they come in, what they should expect. You said something about mediation, and that's been a word that comes up in family court on a regular basis. A lot of people just don't understand the power of mediation. And so could y'all expound on that just a little bit, just to give people a better idea of how that may be a better tool to be used?
Yeah, so mediation, I mean, you have 2 people coming together. Now, it depends on if you're doing it through the court system or you're doing private, but either way, you have 2 people coming together trying to work out what situation is best for them and their family. We love our judges, but you're in front of a judge for 2 hours and you have to give them how the relationship got started, what happened, what's going on now, what we want in the future. I mean, you have to give them all of this, and they have to make a decision. You can't give them everything. You can't just every time somebody leaves court, it's like, oh, we should have said da 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 da, or we run out of time. You can't say everything. We can sit in that room and we know our situation, and we can say, well, this works, or no, you know, she like going to see the grandparents on third Saturday. You know, she like hanging out with such and such. The judge might not take all that into consideration. They can take what they're given. So being able to sit down and do your own schedule. Now, in mediation, the mediator does not make a decision for you. They'll tell you, I can't make a decision. I will encourage you, and I'll say, I hear that. Well, why can't, you know, what's this? How we can change that, or whatever the case may be. But they're not going to make a decision for you. You have the power, because once you walk in that courtroom, once you submit to the jurisdiction of the court, and you walk in that courtroom and start your case, it's all out of your hands.
Okay, yes. Stop right there. Say that one more time, straight to that camera, so people understand the importance of what you just said.
But once you walk in that courtroom, and you set for that case, it's out of your hands, completely out of your hands. Then you turn over to Judge Parker. And she's right here. Hopefully I say this to my clients, hopefully she won't be offended.
I won't.
But I tell my clients, you don't know if she woke up on the wrong side of bed that morning.
Nope.
You don't know if she had the best news that morning. You don't know what her situation is. You don't know if you look like, and now these judges are impartial, they can rule without no background, but they're humans,
yes,
right? You know, so you don't know if the case in front of her just,
yeah,
you know,
they
blew up.
They were they were talking over her and they were doing this and she was trying her best to keep, whatever. You have no idea. And you're giving your case, your children, your money, your whatever to her at this point and saying, whatever you say, I got to do. And that's, to me, maybe I like a little bit more control than most, but to me, that's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. So, I mean, even when I say, you can't get in work out mediation, sometimes you get with the opposing counsel, like, well, here are the things, we're only going to bring this to the judge. Like, we got some of this stuff worked out, but we can't figure out this particular piece. So we're going to bring this particular piece to the judge. Whatever can help, because once you in there, you in there.
Yep. Oh, that's it. I mean,
Nothing to add to it?
no, I mean, I was going to say stipulations. I mean, which is what he said. The stipulations are the things that you agree to. And I love when people say, Judge, this is the only thing that we have. That might take 15 minutes, right, for us to have that. And sometimes it could just be a discussion. When you think, well, what do you think about this? Okay, well, what about that? And then people are like, okay. And people, and my idea, when you consent to something or something that y'all agree, hopefully you're more likely to follow it than if I were to order it. And so the goal is always to try, once again, we're not there to judge, we're there to help. I'm here to help you if you cannot deal with your conflict. But the goal is that you hopefully would be able to do that in some way, shape, or form. And so we encourage it 100%. We are not in the business of trying to wrangle cats all day, like that.
We have enough cases.
We have enough cases and specifically with people that have hired attorneys. I mean, they feel like their attorney's not doing what they need to be doing for me because they're trying to mediate this out. Your attorney's trying to help you because we have pro se people in there that don't have that. Pro se, they're self-represented. They're representing themselves. Yeah.
I absolutely didn't know what it meant.
Yeah. Yes. Pro se, meaning so we have all cases to Jay's point. That day, attorney, your case, you're in, you're out. The judge is sitting there all day long for 8 hours on the bench, hearing every single thing that happens, from the good, the bad, and the ugly, from getting fussed out, cussed out, you name it, all the things are happening. And so, like he said, you might get in the middle of something, I'm tired. And I don't mean to be a certain way to you, but once again, I'm human. So the best that you can do, try to do that. Just because it's in your best interest, quite frankly. But generally, like you said, judges, we are human, but we are coming in. We took this job to do justice and to be helpful. But you just never know. And I was in front of a judge I did not know at all, had no relationship whatsoever, had no idea what this man, how he was going to rule, what he was going to do, had to roll the dice. It just was what it was, and it's scary. So yeah,
it's surprising that when two people you think they're so far apart and then you actually get them talking, it's like, well, you're really not. You just switch that day for that,
Yep.
that makes sense. Or, oh, you can't do pickup that. Oh, she said she could do pickup those. I mean, so it's sometimes we're not saying this for everybody. I mean, there are cases that need to be litigated.
Yes.
So, but for some people, it's like, why don't we just sit down and figure out? Amazing how we agreed on everything besides Christmas and Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we take Christmas and Thanksgiving or the summer. Like, I travel, I want it for whatever. We got everything else. Let's take let's try to figure out what we can and then take what's left there if there's a chance.
The power of mediation. I love it. This is like good stuff. Like, I mean, I feel like the more people have an understanding what court is versus what their perception of it is, then hearing things like this from professionals and hearing the human side of it allows them to not only take that proverbial rope off of you and see you for you and as a lawyer, and not somebody just taking my money, but somebody that's actually gone through stuff and actually seen, this firsthand. When people see this, they'll be like, okay, well, maybe let me try that. Let me go to this mediation. Let me see if this would work the way they said it can work. I'm gonna back up one more time, right? And I'm not gonna hold you guys here, but I really appreciate your time. When we think about going into the courtroom for the first time or family court for the first time, there are things that just people are not aware of, like the order of operations. Like, we look at child support, we look at custody, we look at the what those terminologies mean. So from a litigator's point of view and from a judge's point of view, when you go in, what should be handled first first things first when you walk in there? Should it be child support? Should it be custody? What is the order of operations that so many people don't take into consideration when they walk in?
Well, not everybody needs everything, but I'm a big proponent of just in my personal life. I think the most important thing, first thing that needs to get stabilized and have a routine is the kids.
Yes,
So
100%.
I think before I figure out what's going to happen with my car and all that kind of stuff, I think if there's kids involved, I personally think the kids need to get into a schedule, get into a routine. I think when we go to these different parent coordinator trainings and all this kind of stuff like that, we have psychologists, sociologists talking to us. They're talking about how necessary it is for kids to be in the schedule, how they thrive on that. So that is just my little soapbox. I think we get they didn't calls, whatever this is, the quicker we can get them locked in and everybody on the same page, the better. And Judge Parker might tell you that custody and child support, I mean, I don't want to say they depend on each other, but they kind of
They do.
One influences the other.
Absolutely.
One definitely. She can speak that she's in that. Of course, she can speak that. But for me, I want to get custody well, and for most custody is the most emotionally
Yes.
drawing thing. Like, I mean, if I get little Timmy together and we got something going, then everything else is going to fall in line. I need to know who's doing custody, to know who needs the house, or what's going on in that situation. So me, got kids involved, I want them straight.
I think it's very clear whenever you're going through this type of situation what your priorities are. And so, like Jay said, the children should always be the priority. Their stabilization should always be the priority because, to your point, they didn't ask for this, but also they're the ones that are most affected by it, regardless. And so, when like he mentioned earlier, people get into court and all they've done, this is custody court, and you're talking about each other and what this person did, and they cheated, and they did this, that, and the third. None of that is relevant to what we're talking about, unless for some reason that child was involved in whatever was happening or would affect that child in some way. Not that it affects you. Understand that you're hurt and your feelings are, and that's understandable, but that is not what we're here for. So I would echo 100%. Custody is the first thing that needs to be handled. We do not do child support until custody is resolved. We can't. The worksheets are different for joint custody or 123 overnights versus, looking at zero, looking at more than that. And so there's different worksheets for different things, or you have one child and the other person has the other child. So until that's done, we're not even worried about child support. However, that does not mean that you should not be supporting your child, because you will be paying back child support until the date that the filing was. So you might be dropped with a $19,000, $20,000 back child support arrears obligation that prevents you from getting your passport and other things, off gate. So, if you've been paying during that period of time, paying a reasonable amount, then, that would bring your arrears down, and you would get that credit for that. So you want to keep records of that. As well, which do not pay cash, and you want to do some type of check, electronic transfer, Cash App, Venmo, something that you can document and show what you've been doing, keeping receipts, etc., and so forth. So child support always comes after custody, and then you get into the equity distribution, which is the retirement accounts, the home, the cars, the money, all those things, and the accounts. But I would say that's generally the order of which that we would see things.
So what I'm hearing y'all say is, the children are the priority here.
I think in family court, I think most judges and most attorneys are going to say the kids need to be safe. Now, the only time, and we said general, the only time something might differ in that is if you do have a spouse who is stay at home, doesn't have any money, if finances are being used as a
leverage.
Leverage. That's what it said. Leverage. Then maybe we try to rush some type of support if that's at play in the case,
right?
Because they're stressed and they can't feed kids every night. Then that's gonna play into everything. So, but generally, if we have people normally almost equal footing or whatever, everybody's able to maintain. We're doing custody and going from there. So some stuff that she was saying, yes, worksheets are completely dependent on custody. Let's get that straight. Let's get that settled first.
So how many forms of worksheets are there?
3. A, B, and C.
What three? Can you quickly give an explanation of those?
So worksheet A is the worksheet that is used if you have 0 to 122 overnights. It's 123, right? I'm not correct. Okay. 0 to 122 non-custodial parents. You have the custodial parent and the non-custodial parent, and these are available online. You can type in North Carolina Child Support Guidelines, and the worksheets are there, so you can estimate North Carolina NC Child Support Guidelines. You can Google it, or you can type that in. And so the worksheets are available online. This is not secret math, whatever. It's there and it's clear. It's the same worksheet I'm using in the courtroom. It's the same worksheet that the county is using, same worksheet that he's using. So you can do it on your own at your house. Once again, you want to go off of gross, not net. Yeah. So this is pre-tax. Yeah, they're like, what? I only bring home this much. The guidelines factor that in. The worksheet factors it in. And so you would enter in how many children there are. You would enter in the custodial time. You would enter in if you have prior child support orders. You would put in the daycare, the health insurance, extracurriculars, all of those type of things. If you have other children that are under the age of 18 that are not involved in this, all that's in there. And you can get a good guide on what it might look like. Now, as judges, we can deviate. We can go up. We can go down. We can keep the worksheet where it is. That is where the human factor comes in, of us looking into the individual and seeing what's best for this child. And so that's worksheet A. Worksheet B is a joint custodial schedule. It is not 50-50. So that 123 overnights, I can't remember what the percentage is. I don't know if you know.
Year almost, but yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So, worksheet B is when you have 123 overnights with the child, and then more, to 365. And so with the non-custodial parent. And so that would result in a more equal amount. So sometimes it turns out, most of the time, sometimes depending on the incomes, but it might end up where there is no payment for that, right? Because you have that joint custodial and y'all make about the same. Because the goal of child support is to keep the child in the same status regardless of which home that the child is in. So if you're making $100,000 and the other person is making $50,000, then we need to get it down to about the 75,000, right? That at each home, to make sure that there's no question of the child's ability to flow through that home with the things that they need.
The logic, the way I explained it, you don't want your child eating, filet mignon at one parent's house and then oodles and noodles. That influences the child. Like, I don't really like that. Like, it's okay.
Absolutely.
This ain't fun over here. Eat chicken one day and shrimp the next day, and that over there we eating potatoes and
ramen noodles. Yeah.
You want to, the goal, and that's, some people don't understand that. Mm-hmm. No, why I gotta, They work too. It's just your kids. Like, it's not your kids. Their experience and how they're doing it. So.
And what I was going to say too, and people are so super upset about it too, and they don't want to go through the system. And I'm like, no, go through the system, because then we can track it. Right? It's tracked, it's clean, it's consistent, it comes out of your paycheck automatically, those type of things. Like, that's where you can see that, that is taking place, versus I have so many people, it's like, I've been paying them under the table for years, and they get in there and say, I never got a dime.
And so that goes to what you were saying, how to track that. So there are not arrears to be paid based on how you track that before you get in.
Before you get in there, but when you're in there, you want to make sure that you're paying consistently and those type of things. But child support, to the point, is for the children. Like, it's so that the parent that has the children the most, the custodial parent, can budget, can provide the children what they need, nobody, most people are not in there using it, buying Louis Vuittons and Gucci purses, because you're not paying enough for that. And people seem to assume like she getting her nails done, or he, no. And there's women who are not paying, who are on child support, and they're not paying like they need to. And it's, once again, I just remind them, I'm not here for you. I'm not here for you, him or her. I'm not here for either one of y'all. I'm here for the children. And that's where the focus has to be. And so then worksheet C, the last worksheet, is where, let's say Jay and I are married. Jay has one child. I have one child. And so, right. But that usually happens like with older kids, where they're just like, I prefer to be at dad's, and I prefer to be at mom's, whatever. But that worksheet would be that. And so, that's just how they balance it.
Okay. Well, now that you mentioned that part, is there a point in time where kids get to decide where they want to be?
So the law doesn't give a certain age. It says they have to be of suitable age and discretion to even talk to the judge. But the judge can give weight to that or not, and it can't be the only thing the judge gives weight to.
Right.
So you can't bring my 12-year-old child in there and they say, I want to stay with mom, and the judge is like, well, we need to have a custody case today. We're staying with mom. That can't be their only thing. They can they can talk to the judge. Now, I don't know if I'm getting trouble. I don't think most of our judges where I work like parents bringing in the kids, because some of our judges say that tells me more about the parent.
Mm-hmm.
You need to, if you want to bring you already stressed out, and now you want to bring your 10-year-old in. Right. But There is no set age, but a lot of times there. Hopefully I don't get you, but because it has to be a suitable age and discretion, and that is it's not a set like 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
The judge doesn't want to hear from your child. They're gonna say, I don't think your child is of suitable age and discretion, and you go from there. You're not gonna override once you submit it to the judge. You're not gonna override what they say.
And I've seen it where, and to that point, I've seen it where, maybe you had an order that y'all have had since they were little kids and it was week on, week off, or maybe y'all separated and the children are older. I can put whatever I want to put in that order, but I mean, nobody's making you drag your child out of the car and drag them to somewhere that they want. And there's a point where kids are only going to do what they want to do anyway. Like we all know that when they get to that age. And so I've seen it where parents have tried to hold the other parent in contempt for the child not going over to the other parent's house and that type of thing. And it's hard to prove that in the sense that they're like, what am I supposed to do? Put them in the car and like kick them out of the car to go into the dad's house or into the mom's house? So, even though we have that order, when kids are getting older and can drive and have their own things or their own lifestyles, that is where it gets more challenging as far as like, where the children may end up. I can order something, but it's a piece of paper unless it's being followed.
Okay. Now, are there any misnomers that y'all like to clear up before we wrap this up? When people have misconceptions about what'll happen in court, like what's the craziest thing people thought that was going to happen in court? Is just that's not law, that's not rule, that's never going to happen.
They think that we're against men and against fathers, and they think that the mom is going to go in and get whatever she wants, or the custodial parent is going to come in and get exactly whatever they want. And I would say that's not true. We are not a state. There are states that are like that like if mom comes, like mom is given legal and physical custody off gate and dad has like proof himself. North Carolina's not like that. We generally start out 50-50 with the healthy and safe parents. Like that is the goal, is to balance it out as much as possible. So I would say come in educated, but don't come in just assuming that it's going to be that way. Because I can see that too. Like you just going to do whatever they're going to do anyway. But I'm going to tell you right now, I mainly do our foster care system. I have reunified children with fathers pretty much just as much as I have done it with mothers. And I have reunified children with fathers who didn't even know that that the child even existed because they put in that work. I mean, one man was in jail and didn't even know. He got out of jail, got it together, and has his baby and is a single dad, not rocking it out. So I just want to I had another gentleman who was the adoption. It was a mess and all this kind of stuff. And he just really wanted to be in his child's life. And the adoption, they were trying to give the child to the adoptive family. And I was like, no. This dad needs to be a dad. He wants to be a dad. And the way y'all went about this is incorrect. So fathers are just as important. And I need them to know, don't feel like you can wait till your child is 18 and then all of a sudden you're going to be in their life. Fight for your kids now if that's something that you value.
I hate to jump on that same thing. That was what I was going to say. I spend so much time I represent everybody. I spend a lot of time with fathers just saying, no, you matter. They want you're doing great. You can do. No, the court's not against you. Like it's not like that anymore. Like you can do this. We can get it. Oh, it's no point. It's just, they just gonna do. No, that's not it. So that is a very good point. And also just not a misnomer. When we brought up before about the arrears with child support. That's again, you got to get a consult when you first start this. I've heard recently so many people saying, oh, I can't do anything until I've been separated for a year. So I don't do any custody, I don't do any support, I don't do anything because I can't do anything until I'm separated. Yes, in North Carolina, you can't file for divorce until you've been separated for a year. But you can get stuff out the way, not out the way like but you can handle things up until that time. And I think it's better that, so then when you get that divorce, that final signature is like, oh, we got all our orders, we're done, we're squared away. So just little stuff like, hey, if I'm thinking about the process, let me go talk to an attorney. Right when I get out the process, can you alleviate stuff like those arrears that we're talking about? Because when we say I can go back to the date of filing, and even though I don't get in court for 18 months, they're gonna say, well, if you owe $500 since the date of filing for the last 18 months, now all of a sudden I start out with this big old arrears amount. I was like, well, nobody told me how to pay that. Well, you had a console, you start playing with those worksheets, stuff that you didn't know to do.
Yes.
If you had taught somebody and say, play around with those worksheets, see what you might have to do, and maybe you need to start, shooting that or doing whatever. So now I'm not in a position where my passport's at risk or whatever because I'm starting out in these careers, just little stuff to help. I tell everybody's like, oh, I can't afford an attorney. You can afford to do a consult with an attorney.
Okay.
No matter what, you can afford to do a consult, get the language, get understanding of what's going on, and then you can do some marching orders by yourself, even if you can't attorney. But you can't go into this legal world not knowing how it works, because if you get married here or you have kids here, you're under the North Carolina's legal jurisdiction and how they handle this. So just moving as though you don't know anything is going to hurt you in the long run, especially if you have somebody else on the outside who knows what's going on.
Absolutely. And, we have the Wake County Legal Support Center, which is available every day from 8:30 to 5 p.m. It is free, wakelsc.org. We also have the Legal Hand, which is a phone where you can call on the phone. And I don't know the link to that, but just Google Legal Hand, Wake County. But those are resources as well. So even if you decide, that you have a consult or you can't afford the consult, please go down to Legal Support Center. They will give you free legal information. They have booklets there to help you fill out the form so you can do it correctly. There's nothing worse than you taking several days off of work to go to court, been at court for several months, and you get in front of a judge and we say, I'm sorry, you didn't serve right. I'm sorry, the pleadings are incorrect. I'm sorry, this and X, Y, and Z is not done, and we have to dismiss it. And you just paid $225 or whatever the cost is now, I don't know, done all this stuff and haven't done it right.
So is there a playbook that you would say, as you gave all these different resources, is there not a playbook, but maybe just a list of things you would say, hey, these things need to be done to be prepared if you're thinking about going down this road?
They have it there for them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that legal support, and that was your brainchild. That was your baby, the legal support center, so that she's serving people all day, not all day, but I mean,
yes,
throughout the day, throughout the week. It's her baby to be able to come in and say, this is a resource that you can go and get information so that you know what to do. So that has to be one of the first things you do.
And we've had people from across the nation. It's only been open 3 years and it's already served 30,000 people. I mean, it has exceeded our expectations. That's why it's developing. They're doing a housing, evictions, those type of things. I mean, all type of things is happening out of this. Like I said, Jay volunteers his time from the very beginning, has been a volunteer in there as well to serve people. So getting outside of the bubble, using the resources that are available to you. Wake County started this. Mecklenburg has had it for 24 years before we started it 3 years ago. And so this is needed and necessary. But like I said, people coming from all across the state, you do not have to be a Wake County resident. We've had people come down from New Jersey and all over the place to utilize the center. It is there. It is free. And so, it's an awesome resource.
Just imagine, and the last thing I said, but just imagine you going to court for your divorce and you get there and all your stuff or something that you've done something minor wrong, or you didn't get the notary stamp, or whatever the case may be. And this is a real example. And you have a marriage ceremony coming up in 2 weeks, and now
you can't get another
all
court.
Your paperwork is done. You have to start from the beginning because you tried to do quickly divorce because you waited too long to get separated. North Carolina, you don't have to file for divorce. You can be separated forever, all your life. I mean, they have come in this. We've been separated 20 years, and now we get divorced. So little stuff like that, that's hard. Like I can do at that point, but it's like ooh. So just availing yourself to the resources that you have, and maybe not getting divorced. Maybe dates for marriage before you get your divorce, but.
Handle your business. That's the thing. Handle your business so that you won't be in front of me, big pregnant, trying to get this divorce, and I got to tell you, I'm sorry it didn't happen. And now, that's another thing. I just want to touch on this real quick. Okay. If you are not divorced for at least 10 months, is that correct? Prior to the baby's birth, they will assume that the husband is the putative father.
Now, if y'all been separated for 3 years, if you are, you have people all the time, like they're still trying to get their divorce, but they've already
moved on,
a baby with somebody else, and now you having to fight where that man is presumed in North Carolina to be the ex-husband is presumed, or the husband to be is presumed to be the baby's dad, father, and now this other guy's.
Why is that a presumption?
Because that's the law. I mean, and the idea is that you are still married to that person, and so you're still married to that person. So
in the Bible Belt, they assume
that you're the dad.
If you're married, if you have a kid, you're having it with your
So the actual dad cannot sign the birth certificate.
If the divorce has
Not been finalized at least 10 minutes prior to being pregnant. And people don't understand that until they get in there to sign the birth certificate, and they can't. So now you got to go through a whole legal process to get the person off,
to get the right
to get the right dad on.
Right there.
So the point is, wrap your stuff up before you even think that you're going to move on.
Wrap
all your stuff up, like all the way, all the things.
The legal stuff too.
All the things. Handle your legal business. You know, to this point, I do divorces, and I'm like, y'all been divorced. Y'all been separated 20 years, like longer than I've been born. What is happening right now? Y'all been separated longer than y'all were married. What took so long? I don't mind. I ask people. I'm that person. I ask them, like, what took so long? I don't know. We just couldn't get down here. We just couldn't, whatever, you know. And so just handle your business. That's it. Just handle your business and take care of it, because there are a lot of legal ramifications that will cost you more later for delaying things.
Okay. Well, listen, man, I want to do this more often. First of all, I have enjoyed this conversation. I have enjoyed having you both on as guests together and seeing the energy between the two of you. You know, like y'all. I can tell y'all know each other, y'all like each other. But this is good for our audience. Our audience, most of the time, are just uneducated. And it's not by fault of them, because the goal is not to be in front of you in the first place. And so if I'm not expected to be in front of you, I'm not going to educate myself on that.
And nobody gets married to divorce. Either.
Correct.
You know, you never think you're going to be there. So yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to wrap this up, but I'd like to know if you have, anything that you'd like to say to our audience, just in closing, and Jay, you the same, to encourage, to educate, to enlighten, before we leave.
Sure. So, I'll put a plug in for my book, From Broken to Brazen, the 40-day devotional on healing from heartbreak, loss, and rejection. It is just to remind you that God is a healer and that He is with you. And He was definitely with me in writing that. I've had several people, I didn't know what was going to happen. It was really for me, for myself to heal. But so many people have reached out and said it's been life-changing for them. And so I give God the glory for that. So you can catch it on Amazon or Westbow Press. You can buy it. I priced it as cheap as I possibly could because I wanted to get in the most hands. And so even if you don't need it, I don't have any on me. I should have brought one. But even if it's not for you, I'm sure we all know somebody that's kind of going through it or is dealing with rejection and those type of things. And so hopefully that would be a benefit to you. So shameless plug. But definitely handle your business. Please don't come see us.
Any social media you'd like to be known as?
Oh, yeah. Judge Ashleigh. I also have Ashleigh S. Parker on Instagram, and also for my book promotion and things like that. So both of those.
I don't do too much on social media, but I do just want to encourage people, like, it's hard being in these situations. We're here to give as much education as possible. We love to educate. We love for you to know, even if you can't hire attorney, we love for you to know what you're doing, how to do it. We want to guide you through the process and get you to the other side. So
yes.
You have help. You have resource legal support system. You have help to get through this. We're here. We're happy to help.
You're not alone.
Nope, not alone.
Awesome. I really, again, appreciate the both of you being here. This is Judge Ashleigh Parker, Attorney Jay Jerkins. I am Jimmy Evans, and I just want to say to our audience, if you have any comments or any questions that you want to add, we'd love for you to be a part of this conversation. And listen, you can reach me at Barbershop Therapy on Instagram, and at Barbershop Therapy 2331 at Instagram. YouTube. This again is been a session of Barbershop Therapy with Judge Ashleigh Parker and Jay Jerkins, attorney at law. We cut through the problems. We appreciate your time, your effort, and come see us again.